What's up, my people? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be taking you through the full-on Voiceflow UI tutorial so you can be able to understand the Voiceflow user interface, the various components that you're able to leverage to build powerful AI chatbots, and like everything you need to know to get started on building chatbots on Voiceflow. If you're not familiar, Voiceflow is the most popular chatbot builder in the world, and being able to master how you use it will enable you build powerful chatbots that can be deployed whether it's on the website, WhatsApp, Instagram, or wherever it is a company interacts with their customers. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So go ahead and create a Voiceflow account if you don't have one and log into your account. So to just create an account, you'll go to voiceflow.com. So then you'll click get started. Then it will ask you for the basic details, your email, username, all that. Then you'll go ahead and log in. Then you'll arrive at your Voiceflow dashboard. So this is how your dashboard looks like. So in this section is where you'll be viewing your AI agents that you've built. AI agent is just another name for AI chatbot, just a fancy name. And below here you can be able to start building just leveraging on the templates that have been provided here. So you can see this is for retail purchases and this is a customer support chatbot, all that. But if you need to access all the templates available, you can go to the left panel. Then clicking on that will take you to the templates page. Then here you can get access to various Voiceflow templates, chatbot templates. For example, you can see here this is a hotel concierge chatbot. You can be able to even search over here your various scenarios, and you can be able to get the template so that you're not starting to build from scratch when someone has already done what you're trying to do. So you can be able to build upon the templates that are provided. Okay. So going back here, you can see, so this is your dashboard. If you have a template that you've already downloaded, maybe you watched a YouTube video and the creator there provided you with a template. The template is normally a .vf file. So you see there is .json, .js. So for Voiceflow, a template is a .vf file. So you'll click on this to import .vf file. Then you'll be able to upload it straight from your computer. Okay, then yeah, that's mostly what you'll need to know on this part of the dashboard. But if you now need to create the AI chatbot from scratch, you'll click new agent, give it a name. So I'll give mine tester. Select a modality, it can be chat or voice. In this case we'll use chat. Then select a language, we'll pick English. Then continue, click create agent. Then once it loads up, you'll arrive at the Voiceflow canvas. They'll have some default boilerplate things that you can use, but we'll just zoom out. So you can zoom out by using your two fingers, or control, then scroll up or down using your two fingers. Okay, so I'll zoom out, then shift, then drag on top of all that, then delete. Okay, then I'll zoom back in, then we can get right into it. So I'll first just try going through the basics of all the blocks that you can be able to add within your canvas. So how the chatbot is built is by dragging and dropping various blocks that have various functionalities attached to it. So for example, if I want to display a message in the chatbot, I'll pass in a text message. Okay, so I'll drag and drop it into the canvas, and I can say something like hello. So something like that. Then I'll hover over that. If I need, let's say, to generate some variations of this statement, I can click generate 3 variants, and the AI will generate 3 versions of this statement. This is just to ensure that if a user interacts with the chatbot more than once, they don't get to see this message over and over again. They'll feel like it's so robotic, so static. So it's good to be generating variations of the text that you display. You can go ahead and edit it out. So once you're good with it, you can click outside, then control enter to save it up. Okay, then I'll exit that. For this to work, you need to ensure it's connected from the start block. Then you can run it. So you'll click start test from here, and you can see greetings, I'm Zawadi, here to assist. If I reset the test and run the test again, you'll see it says something different. Hello, it's Zawadi here to lend a hand. Okay, so I'll exit that. So let's say after this message, I want the user now to type in their response. So for that, I can drag in another block, and this will be a listen block that's listening for the user's response, and we'll use the captcha block. Okay, so the capture block captures the user's response. So it saves the user's response to a variable called last utterance, and this is a default variable in Voiceflow that you can be able to use wherever in your Voiceflow flow, and by default it always saves the user's last response. Okay, but if you want to save this response in a different variable, just click on that, then you can pick whatever variable if you've already created it, or you click create new variable. So let's say I want to save this into a variable called user response. Then you can give it a description, doesn't really matter, so create variable. Then you can see it saves the variable there. Then after capturing the user's response, you could have some actions to happen after that. So when you click on this, you can see you can go to a specific block within the canvas. So for example, go to block, then I select a block. Let's say in the home workflow, I'll go to new block 1, and you can see new block 1 is this block. So also good practice I can advise you is to be naming your blocks accordingly. So in this case, let me give this name introduction. Okay, then enter. Then when I come here, you can see it's altered to introduction. Okay, so and there are various actions you can do aside from just going to a specific block. You can set a variable accordingly. You can make an API call to an API endpoint that you might be having. You can do some code, or put in a specific component that you've already built, and we'll touch on components a bit later on, but let's move on. Then here you can see this some dots over here. So when you click on it, you'll see something called intent scoping. What intent scoping does is it enables you to limit the kind of intent that you want to listen for in this specific capture block. I know it sounds a bit complex, but I'll make it make sense. So when a user types in a response and we want it to be so conversational, we set up things called intents. So that if they want to, let's say, make a payment, the chatbot can be able to capture that intent of making a payment and lead them to the flow where it will get their payment details and all that. So we set up things called intents to be able to capture the intention within the user's response, so that we can lead them on accordingly to the necessary flow that handles that specific functionality they are asking for. So the AI will be always listening in the capture block for intents that you've already created, and we'll touch on creating intents a bit further in the video, but you're able to limit this. So for example, you want to listen only for the intents within this step, so that when the user sends a response, you don't want the AI to capture the intent and jump them off to a specific flow. You want them just to listen for intents that are within this specific block. So for that, you can be able to limit that. Sometimes this is very handy because you don't want the AI to jump around when you've just asked, let's say, the user to provide their name, and you're directly knowing that I just want the name and the name only. And if they type in something else that's related to a specific intent we have created, we don't want the chatbot to jump to that specific flow. So that comes in handy in that specific case. But in most cases, you just want it to have to set at listen for all intents, so that wherever the user is within the chatbot flow, they can be able to quickly jump and to various flows based on the thing they have asked in the response. So if they have said that they want to book a meeting, they can be able to jump to the book a meeting flow. So this helps in having the chatbot be conversational and not like a robot that doesn't understand. But in this case, what I want to do is just to show you that the user response has been captured and saved. We can be able to have a text message, okay? And this will say, then we'll insert in the variable user response. To insert a variable, you put in curly braces, then you can start typing in user, and you'll see user response there. Click on it, then from here we can forward it back to the introduction block. So I'll go to actions, okay, then go to block, and I'll select the block which is called introduction, okay? And you can notice that's within the workflow that is called home. And if you see at the left panel over here, you can have various workflows. So this workflow is called home, and in that specific home workflow, I want to access the block that's called introduction, Okay, so once this is in place, we would want to now run the chatbot. So to go back to the very start, a shortcut you can use is pressing the S key. So just press S and that will take you to the very start. Then start test from here. So you see, greetings, I'm already here to assist. So I can type in whatever, then you can see here's the user's response. Then it goes back to the very beginning and you can continue with the flow accordingly. So I'll exit this, escape, then we can zoom out and shift and drag over all that to delete it, so that now we can go through the various blocks that are within the left panel over here. So I'll take you through all of them one by one, explaining what each one of them does. So we've already touched on the text message. It just displays a text message within the Voiceflow chatbot. This image block, what it does is enables you to simply insert an image within the chatbot window, and you can upload an image directly from your computer or insert a link. So you can insert a link here or upload. Let's upload one. So I've uploaded a picture of this airline, and when I just connect the block there and just run the chatbot, you see it displays the image within the chatbot. So press escape, then we can just delete this. Then next we can have a card. So you can display a card within the chatbot. This is useful especially when you're displaying, let's say, product images with their required details. So you can be able to use a card step to do that. So you'll upload the image. So you can upload an image from your file explorer or insert a link. So more oftenly you'll be inserting a link and not uploading from your computer, because these images will be displayed dynamically from calling, let's say, your database through an API call and retrieving your product images, which are brought in as image links. So you'll insert the link there accordingly. Okay, then enter the card title. So let's say this is the product name is airplane, then the description, this is an aircraft. Then you can add in some buttons for, let's say, if someone wants to purchase this aircraft of ours, then you can add another button. So just click on this button to, let's say, view the airplane. So view aircraft, then you click back here. And in this case, for this button view aircraft, we want to attach an action. So when they click view aircraft, we want it to open up in a new page so that they can see the actual aircraft image. So for that, we'll click actions, open URL. Okay, then we enter the URL of this airplane. Since we have uploaded it from our computer, we'll go back here. Let me show you. Then I'll click on link over here. Then I'll copy this link as is. So the image, the good thing is the image gets saved somewhere in the cloud, so you can access the URL. Then I go back to the buttons down here, view aircraft, then I add the URL, paste it in there, and that's it. So going back, so that's the card. Then you can exit there. If they click purchase, you can just say the message, click the link. So you see I'm saying you want to purchase, click the link below to visit the product page. Then below here, this could be the link to the actual product page. So to attach a link, or in other words, hyperlink this text, you just highlight it, then click over here and you'll hyperlink the text. So you'll insert the product page URL over here. I can insert a random URL just for testing purposes. So let's capture this one and we hyperlink this and attach the URL, enter, then we can move on. So for this, let's connect it up over here, then run the chatbot. So you can display, this is how our card looks like, the image, you can see the title, the description, and then the following buttons. If they click purchase, see, you want to purchase, click the link below to visit the product page. When you click on that, it opens up there a new page where you can see the product page over here. So I'll close that. Going back, if we reset the test, run the test again, if they click view aircraft, it opens a new page where they are able to view the aircraft image, and you can see it there. Okay, so you've seen the basics of working with cards. So let's delete all this, shift drag on top of that, then delete. The next is a carousel block. Carousel is just a couple of cards that are connected horizontally. So you can be able to do the same thing we have done with cards, but now we can add multiple cards that are arranged horizontally, so you can be able to scroll and view several cards. This is useful when you're displaying, let's say, several products that have been called from your database and they are being displayed through the chatbot and are being displayed within the chat window. So you can do that. So let's quickly do that. So I'll upload the same image of the aircraft, then get the link, then we'll use it for the next 2 cards that we are going to create. So give it a title, it can be whatever. So just for testing purposes, it can be whatever. So give it some buttons. Then after creating your card, you want to click add a new card. So add card, so that you can add in the second card. So in this case, we'll upload and insert the link. So we'll just take in the link that we had over here and paste it down here. Then enter, give it a title, whatever, a description, then some buttons. Okay, so then yeah, that's it. Let's exit, connect it up, then let's run this. Okay, and there you have it. So this is how our carousel looks like. You can see the 2 cards that we've created, okay, and the buttons accordingly. So when you click on that, the buttons aren't connected, so it won't go anywhere. Press escape, then let's delete this. The next is the listen block. So here we have buttons, choice, and capture. So we'll start with the buttons. Okay, so let's give this button, let's say, a name of BTN1. Okay, then you can add other buttons. Okay, BTN2, then another button, add button, BTN3. Okay, so we have 3 buttons. So when they click on BTN1, we want to save their input to a variable. So how we do that, let's just go back here, and in the actions, so it looks a bit confusing, so let me collapse all this so that we remain with just BTN1 over here. So we'll add an action. So actions, set variable, so that we can set whatever they've clicked and save it to a variable that can be used within the Voiceflow canvas. So click on that, then come here, click on that, and click create new variable. In this case, we'll call this, let's say, BTN capture. Okay, create variable, then we give it a value of button 1. Okay, control enter, okay, to save that. Then you can click minus on the second set block that's created. Then we can do the same for the other buttons. So go back here and we do the same thing for button 2. So actions, set variable, variable set, then click on that to pick the variable that we've already created, which is BTN capture, then give it a name of button 2. So this is the value. Control enter, and it's critical you do control enter, because if you just click out in the set variable, normally has some bugs in being able to save whatever you've set in the values field. So just control enter, then minus this. Okay, then do the same thing for button 3. Then once you're done with that, you can lead it on to a text message that displays whatever they've clicked on. So then we can pass in the variable, so curly braces, then BTN capture. Okay, also tip I can give you over here, when you do and you're searching the specific variable, don't put a capital letter when you're searching through it. You can see we actually have the variable BTN capture, but it says no variables found, because this C has been put as a capital letter. If we put it as a small letter, it's able to get that. Okay, so BTN capture. Then we can lead it on all of them over here. Okay, once that message has been displayed, we can lead it back to the very beginning. Then let's connect the start block there, then click start. So you can see the 3 buttons are displayed there. When I click BTN1, you see you've clicked on button 1. And just a trick I can give you over here, to see the variables as they are changed, take your cursor to the very left over here, then you'll see this blue over here. Click on it so that you can see the variables that you have within your Voiceflow chatbot, and you see the values that have been attached to it. So you can see for BTN capture, it's been saved as button 1. But when I click on BTN2 now, watch what happens over here. You see it changes to button 2. So this is normally good for debugging purposes, to see the various values that are being attached to the variables that you've created. If I scroll down, you can see the last utterance variable contains the last user response, which is btn2, and you can see it there, over there. Then when I click btn3, you see it says you've clicked on button 3, and if I go here, you see btn capture, the value is button 3. Okay, so let's escape. I'll delete all this. Okay, so that's a button step. Next is the choice block. Okay, so what this choice block does, it's mainly working as an intent classifier, and intent classifier is normally used a lot. That specific term of intent classifier is just a choice block that's used to be able to classify the intention within the user's response. So how we do that is, you'll drag in the choice block over here. You can go ahead and create the intent from select intent, then you can create a new intent. You can do it over here, give the intent a name. So for example, making a payment. So this intent will be triggered, so give it a description. So it's triggered when the user mentions a statement showing that they want to make a payment. So this description is not really necessary in this case, because we'll be using something called NLU, intent classification. So this we'll touch on later on, but then here you'll put in some utterances. So that is statements that when the user says a statement that matches something like this, means that they want to make a payment. So give it several example statements that the user can say. So let's say, then after giving it several examples, you can have the AI generate other examples. So hover over that button, then you can generate 10 sample phrases. So it can come up with a couple. Then your work is to verify that you're okay with those statements. Then if you're not okay with it, edit it out. So for example, I can read through them. Can you show me how to make a payment? I need to know the process of making a payment. Explain to me the steps of making a payment. I think I'm okay with all this. So what I'll do is go ahead and create intent. Okay, so that's the first intent that has been created. You can go ahead and add another intent. So add choice, select the next path, which will be, you can create a new intent. So let me show you the other way that you can create intents. Okay, so I'll exit here. So I'll click back over here. Then we'll go to the intents tab. So click intents. Then here you can see the intent we already made, which is making a payment. By default, you have the yes intent and the no intent. So if the user says something like yes or yeah or okay, something positive, this yes intent will be triggered. Okay, and the same case for no. Okay, so go ahead and click new intent, and this intent will call it book a meeting. Then the description, book a meeting. Then so triggered when the user wants to book a meeting, then give it some sample phrases that this means that the user wants to book a meeting. So after that, you can have generate 10 sample phrases. So have the AI generate examples of other statements. So you can go ahead and read through them. If you're not okay with one, you can go ahead and click on it, then edit it out. Then you can go ahead, if you're okay with all of them, you can show all sample phrases, ensure you read through all of them and you're okay with them, then create intent. Okay, so here in the intent settings, you'll come here. You'll notice over here by default it's set to NLU, natural language understanding. So this is how Voiceflow or the AI is able to capture the user's intent from the statement or the response they've given. So there are two ways you can do that, either through the NLU or the LLM. LLM uses the AI models to be able to determine the user's response. The downside of using LLM is it consumes AI tokens, and that will be charged in your overall AI usage costs. But NLU is completely for free. So, but also the benefit of LLM is that it's more accurate in determining the intent within the user's response compared to the NLU. So if you select LLM will be the one that determines. So you'll pick the LLM that you want to work with. It can be 3.5 Turbo or GPT-4 Turbo, all the ones that are displayed here. Then you can be able to use them. but just be familiar that it will consume AI tokens, okay? But also another thing to know is when you select LLM, it's not that the NLU is completely disabled. The NLU will be used as a backup, so in case the LLM is not able to capture the intent, it will fall back to whatever the NLU has determined, okay? But in this case, we can be able to use just NLU. I find it good enough to capture basic intents and the likes. So save that. Then we'll go back to our workflow. So workflows, then click on home, edit workflow. Then when I come back here to the choice step, I can be able to go to the path and attach the intent that we have created, which is book a meeting, okay? So we have those two intents in place. But now we want to add another path just in case none of these two intents have been picked up by the AI, so that you can be able to handle it accordingly. So what you'll do is click no match, then click plus to add a path for that, and you can notice there's a no match path that's been added. So go back here. So if they say something that's in regard to making a payment, we want it to go to the payment workflow. If they want to book a meeting, to go to the book a meeting workflow. So let's create workflows for that. We could as well just build out the flow from this canvas over here, but it will be so cluttered. So a tip I'm giving you is to separate your intents and various functionalities and have them in different workflows, just to have it such that the canvas is not so cluttered, okay? So for that, go here and you see plus, then you click new workflow, give it a name. So in this case, this is for payment. Doesn't really matter the description. Then you can see it immediately asks you what will trigger this workflow. So click on that. Then you can go to the triggers and attach the intent of making a payment, okay? So making a payment intent is what will trigger this workflow, okay? Then this, let's have it as a simple text message just saying you want to make a payment, just that. Then we can do the same thing but for the booking a meeting workflow. So new workflow, book meeting, so that's the name of the workflow. Then the trigger is the intent of booking a meeting. Then we can add a message, you want to book a meeting, okay? So then with that, we can go back to the home workflow. Then if there's a no match, we'll just say no intent captured. Then here, if the intent classifier picks up on making a payment, we want to forward it to the making a payment workflow. So actions, go to intent. So then you can select the intent of payment, making a payment, okay? Then we can do the same thing for book a meeting. Actions, go to intent. Then the intent is in book a meeting. So book a meeting, that's the intent. Then with this being said, press S to come to the beginning, then start test from here. And notice over here, it was blue, but now it says agent needs training and it's in red, okay? So what we do over here is click on that. Anytime you create new intents, always ensure you train your agent so that the AI chatbot can be able to pick up on the intents that you've created. Otherwise, it won't work. So train agent. So trained 100%, so I'll just exit. So click escape to exit there and click start again, okay? Then let's ask it, how do I pay? And you see it automatically jumps to the make payment workflow, and it tells me you want to make a payment. Let's reset the test, run the test again. Let's say, and you can see it picks up on that, and you can say you want to book a meeting. So let's reset the test and say something random. So run test, I love pizza. No intent captured, you see? So that's how that works. And just a tip to give you is, for this intent classifier to work, you want the flow to have already led into the intent classifier and is just sitting and waiting for the user's response. You don't want to do this, okay? Let me show you a mistake I used to do a while back. So I would start, then listen and enter a capture block to capture the user's response. Then after capturing the user's response is when I forward it to the intent classifier. Let's see how this works. I want to pay. So this automatically works because I've set the intent scoping to listen to global intents. But let me show you something. If I go back to the home workflow and I say in the capture block over here I set the intent scoping to only intents in this step. Okay, then let's click start. I want to make a payment. You see, nothing works because you've sent in the user's response, and now is when you're forwarding it to the intent classifier. But for this intent classifier, which is the choice block, to work, the flow needs to have led into the intent classifier first before having a capture block. So this will act as the actual capture block to obtain the user's response and classify it. So it serves two purposes: capturing the user's response and classifying it. So you don't need the capture block. Okay, so that's a tip I'm giving you because it really disturbed me a while back. Okay, so let me delete all this, then let's go on. So then this capture block we've already touched on a lot. It just captures the user's response. Then here in logic, let's get into it. So this if condition is used to follow various flows depending on specific variables. So let's say here, let's insert in some 3 buttons. Okay, then we can quickly save a variable in place. So when they click btn1, we want to save the variable btn capture, which we had already created. So set variable btn capture and set it to button 1. Okay, then I can copy that, then control enter to save it up. So notice this is the thing I was telling you, sometimes it can have some bugs, so you need to do it a couple of times sometimes. So control enter, now it saves up. Then let me minus this and that. Then let's do the same thing for the rest of the buttons. So now with this in place, let me just place things properly. So once we have saved the variable, if they click button 1, button 2, button 3, let's forward it to the if statement. So this acts as an if statement that checks for the variable. So the condition is, I'll add a condition if this specific variable, which is btn capture, so I'll look for btn capture, click on that, is, or we can use contains, let's use contains the word button 1. That's how you create a condition within the if block. Then enter to save that. Then we can add another condition for if they click on button 2. So this condition, you can give it a label by there just for purposes. Let me label this btn1 condition. Okay, let me copy that. Then let's add the next, for the next one is btn2 condition. That's the label, so you can see the labels over here. Then the condition is if the variable, which the variable is btn capture, contains button 2, enter. Then we can do the same thing for button 3, add a condition. So this is btn3 condition. Then if the variable and the variable being btn capture, in this case we can even still use is. Okay, so this is will match exactly for button 3. So button 3, okay, enter. This will still work. Okay, then we can add a no match for in case they didn't pick on any buttons. Okay, so you can add a path for that. Okay, so if they pick btn1, so you can have a text message btn1. Okay, then we can exit that. Then we can do the same thing for the rest. So a shortcut I can give you is select that, so shift, drag on top of that, control C to copy the block, then exit there, then click control V to paste it. Then you can paste it again, control V. Then you can do the same thing for the rest. So here you picked btn2, and here you picked btn3. Okay, then else we just tell them. Okay, then we can lead the blocks accordingly. So this to new block 3 and this there. Okay, exit, then press S to go back to the beginning, and that S shortcut will be handy very much, especially when your canvas starts being cluttered with so many blocks. You might find yourself in a specific section of the block over here, and you want to go to the very beginning so that you run the workflow. Just pressing S is very handy in taking you there. Okay, so start test from here. Oh, we haven't connected it, so ensure you connect it accordingly. Then start. So if you click on BTN1, you see you picked BTN1, and you can see in this debug messages. So just to teach you, this debug messages will come in handy a lot when you're doing your debugging, and also to see what's happening within the chatbot so that something has been displayed within the chatbot. So you can see here it evaluated the code changes, and it changed the BTN capture variable, which was empty. So 0 means it was empty, and it was transformed to button 1. And you can see here that's the case over here. Then it evaluated the code, no variable changes. Then it went to the if statement and checked and found that it matched the condition for BTN1. So it took the first path and displayed that specific message. So that's how you can be able to use the debug messages displayed here to know what's happening in the chatbot. This will especially come in handy when you're making API calls or running functions, custom functions within your chatbot. Okay, so exit that. I'll zoom out and delete all this. Then let's go on. So this set is just for setting variables. So you might use this. We've already looked at this a lot, especially when working with the buttons. But you can be able to individually set the variables from this block. Okay, so select the variable and put in the value. Okay, so I think this is easy to understand, so I'll just delete that. Then you don't really need to know, because you won't be using this block random. I've never really used it at all. Then in this components, okay, you can create a component that you can be able to reuse in your chatbot in many scenarios. Okay, so let me give this, let's say, a name of, let's say, component 1. So this is mainly useful, especially if you have a specific set of blocks that you will be needing to use in several times within your Voiceflow chatbot. You can be able to templatize it and form it into a component that you can be able to easily just drag and drop and use it easily without having to create the blocks from scratch. Okay, so create component. So once you create the component, you can be able to view your components down here. So when I go to component 1, I can have this as, let's say, a text message for introducing the chatbot. So let's say, hello, what's up? Then I can insert another text message just below that and say, here to help. Then with that, we have created our component. Then when you go back to our home workflow, I can be able to connect the block accordingly. Then let's start test from here, and you can see it jumps over here to the component and it says, hello, what's up, I'm Zawadi, here to help. Okay, so you see that's how you can work with the component. This comes in handy. So let me delete this. If I need to use that specific component, I can just come here to components and drag it into the canvas and just connect it up accordingly. So that's a good thing with components. You can save it up and use it in multiple places within your chatbot. Okay, so let me delete that. Then finally is this end block. More often than not, you won't really drag it from here, but how it will work is you'll just use the actions. So let's say I display a text message over here, let's say something gibberish or something. You can display that. Then I'll drag it from here, go to actions, then just go to end. So that's how you'll be using it mostly, not dragging it from here. Okay, then so the end block just does to end the conversation, and you can be able to start a new conversation. Okay, so I'll click start and you'll see displays the message, then the session is ended. Okay, so the chat session ends. So let's delete that. So here in the dev is where we come into the now complex things that are more advanced. Okay, so and in this scope of this video, I want it to be very basic, but just to give you a quick run through, functions enables you to run custom code. So for example, making API calls to your CRM to retrieve user or customer information. You can use the function block to do that, and you can be able to run whatever custom functionalities are within your Voiceflow chatbot. So you can be able to do that. Then the API block does the same same thing, but now this is to make API calls. You can make API calls to Airtable or your CRM, then it gives back a response containing the information you have called for. Then the JavaScript block enables you to run JavaScript code within the chatbot to, let's say, format the response that's coming from the API. Whatever JavaScript that you want to run within the chatbot, you're able to do that. The downside is this is vanilla JavaScript, such that it's you're not using any modules that have been, or JavaScript libraries that are external. You're just using basic JavaScript, okay? Then in the custom action block, this is especially useful when you want to render items within the chatbot dynamically. And I've already touched on, if you need to learn more about this block, go into my YouTube channel. There's a video I created on how to render items dynamically within your chatbot, so you'll be able to fully understand working with the custom action. Also, I've done a tutorial on working with functions. Will enable you to learn exactly what you need to know when working with the functions, okay? And yeah, so in this scope of this video, I don't want to touch on this because they can be a bit complex for complete beginners, and more often than not, when you're starting, you won't really be using them for starters until you come into working with custom functions, where the chatbot needs to handle custom functionalities and the likes, okay? And here in the library, you can be able to use some blocks of code that have been already connected up that run specific functionalities, okay? So for example, if I drag in this API call example, you can see it's a couple of blocks connected together, and their main function is running an API step. So you can see here, it tells you a message. This flow captures a user's question and sends to the OpenAI API, all that. Then captures the user's utterance, then it sends an API call. So this is how an API call looks like. You pass in the URL there, give it the request type that you want to do. So if you are retrieving information, it will be get. If you want to post some details within the API payload, you can use a post request, okay? Then put in some headers, then your authorization, you pass in your API key over here, and accordingly you can notice I'm just brushing through it because I don't want this video to be long, and this was a very basic tutorial, okay? So let's exit that and delete that, okay? Yeah, that's it in regards to this section of the canvas, okay? If you need to, there's something you don't understand, you can interact with the Voiceflow chatbot over here, and it will be able to help you. So for example, you can ask it something like component block, something like that. So you can see it tells me there, gives me some details in regards to the component block. So this is very useful when there's some things within the Voiceflow canvas that you don't really understand or you need help with. This chatbot will be able to help you, okay? So let me just end that. So we haven't touched on in regards to the AI blocks over here. So there's response AI and there's set AI. So response AI, its work is just to have the AI give you back a response based on the user's question. So we can drag it in here, okay? So first we'll start by capturing the user's response. So you'll listen for a capture, okay? Then whatever they ask, we'll pass it on to have the AI give a response, okay? So for this, you can have the AI model give a response, or have it give a response based on the business data that you have given it. More often than not, you'll be using the knowledge base. So you'll click knowledge base over here, then enter the question. In this case, is the last utterance, okay? Then you just give it some simple instructions, knowledge base, okay? So something like that. Then you can add a not found path, just in case the AI doesn't get a response, we can be able to handle that accordingly, okay? Then you can override prompt settings, and this enables you to pick the LLM, the AI model you want to work with. 3.5 Turbo is a good one, but another best one that I refer is GPT-4o Mini, which came out recently, but this is available in a paid plan. This what I'm working with is a free plan, and you can see it's normally very powerful but very cheap compared to all of these that are available over here. So even if you see compared to all the rest, it's the cheapest, 0.2x tokens, okay? But it's very powerful, as powerful as GPT-4o, okay? So the temperature is in regards to how creative do you want the AI to be. So if you are using the AI for things like creative writing, you'll set the temperature, you'll be testing it out with temperatures between 0.5 to 1, okay? So for that. But in most cases, you want the AI to be deterministic and you can be able to predict its response. So that's why mostly you'll be having the temperature down to 0, okay? That's critical. So that you don't want the AI to be creative, sometimes it will get it very wrong. So you want it to follow the exact instructions that you've provided, okay? Then you can set the maximum tokens that you can use. So tokens, AI tokens, for those who are not familiar, how AI works, it works with tokens. When the user asks a question, the response has a couple of words within it, okay? Those words, consider something like 4 letters is equals to 1 token. So the longer the user's question, the more tokens are consumed, okay? So it will take the user's question combined with the prompt that you've provided over here. So you'll provide it with a system prompt in regards to how you want it to behave. So it will take the question, the prompt that you've provided, as well as information from the knowledge base that is necessary to give back a response. So it will take the response from the user, skim through the knowledge base, which is the business data, find relevant chunks of data that are relevant to what the user is asking for, take it as context, then send it to the AI. So it will take the question, the prompt that the AI has been given, then that's the instructions, then take in the chunks of data from the knowledge base. So those 3 things will be sent to the AI as input tokens, okay? Then the AI will analyze all those 3, then give back a relevant response as an output, which will contain output tokens, okay? So the longer the response the AI gives back, that is more output tokens, okay? So the input tokens plus the output tokens will generalize your entire AI usage costs. So what you want to do, you can be able to limit the amount of tokens that will be consumed, both in total, the input and output tokens that can be consumed. So you can be able to set that, but we will set it as default for now. Then here in the system prompt is normally the most critical part of this AI step. So in this place, go ahead and, if you're familiar with prompt engineering, in this case you give the AI a role of let's say you're an expert customer support agent, something like that. Then give it the task that it needs to do, give it specifics to that task that it's meant to do. Then you can give it examples of the kind of response you're expecting from it. So I've already made a video, I don't want to touch on that. I've already made a video where you can master prompt engineering. So just go to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see that. It's, I think, the recent video before this, okay? So mastering prompt engineering. Master that and come in and have in your prompt accordingly, okay? So for this, let's just test it out. So for the AI model, let's work with the AI model. Let's say, where is London located? So let's generate a response. So you can say London is located in southeastern part of England, United Kingdom. But this is just to show you that in actuality we'll be using a knowledge base. So let's click knowledge base, okay? So for this, I'll upload some documents for a specific business that I used a couple whiles back. So to go to your knowledge base where you add the business data, a shortcut you can use from the canvas is pressing Shift K, okay? So that will directly lead you to the knowledge base, or in other cases you can just come here from your workflows, come here to knowledge, okay? So add data source. You can be able to upload a couple of URLs, okay, to act as your knowledge base. So website data that you have could also serve as knowledge base, okay? But in this case I want to upload a file, okay? So browse. So I've uploaded the document, which is just an FAQs document. I'll show you the structure of it. Then import. So you want to ensure the status is now tick. That means the knowledge base has been loaded up correctly within the chatbot. So just to show you the structure of this document, so you can see here it has question answer pairs. So Q then provides a question for the frequently asked question and the relevant answer. So this is a normal standard way of presenting an FAQs document. QA, 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 okay? So you can do that. Then going back here, let me go back to the workflow. So you can have it, the AI give a response, and if it's not found, we'll just tell the user a text message I don't have a response to that at the moment. Is there anything else I can help you with? Then for that, we'll insert some buttons. So listen, then drag in some buttons just below there. So if they click yes, so yes, and another button for no. Okay, and for this button of yes, we want to attach an intent of yes. So because we already have an intent called yes, this is necessary in case they don't click the button yes, but instead they type in the actual word yes. So it will still follow that specific path. And the same case for no. So attach intent no. Okay, so if they say yes, we'll just tell them go ahead, and we can generate some variations of that. I'm okay with that, so control enter, save that. Then we lead it on to this specific block that's capturing the response. So let's call this capture block. So it's good practice to be naming your block so that you can easily jump from block to block without having to drag this all the way back here. Okay, so it becomes so very cluttered. So I'll just go actions, go to block, then it's in the home workflow capture block. Okay, then if they say no, we can just end, or we just tell them first, if you need any further assistance, I'm here for you. Okay, then we can just end the chat. So actions, end. Okay, so with that being said, press S to go to the start, then we can start. So you see, since we have used some intents within our chatbot, let's train the agent on those intents. That was a yes and no intent. So that's loaded up. So let's start again. So I'll ask it something like, what's the minimum investment to get started? You see, it checks the knowledge base, checks for information that's relevant, and gives back this response. The minimum investment required to work with Sanlam Wealth Management varies depending on the specific services, all that. Okay, and here we haven't connected it to go back. So what we'll do is exit, and once it gives back the user's response, we'll send it back to the capture block. So go to block, home, capture block. I could as well just drag it back here, but I like my flow being nice and neat. Okay, so press S so I can start again. So let's ask it, how do you guys ensure the safety of my investment? You see, it's jumped to the making a payment workflow. So this is why it's critical. Sometimes the NLU intent classification system normally gets it wrong. Okay, and that's why mostly people prefer using the LLM intent classification for that, because it's accurate, very accurate. But the downside is it consumes AI tokens. So to solve this is you can go ahead and give it more utterances that are specific to this specific intent. And what you do is go back to the workflow. So I'll go back to the workflow, the home workflow, and have it the intent scoping to just listen for intents in this step. Okay, then I can start again. How do you ensure the safety of my investment? So you see, we employ rigorous risk management practices, including diversification, all that. Then let's ask it again. What's the minimum investment to get started? So you can see it gives back a relevant response, and that's how you're able to use the response AI block. Okay, now let's simulate it not having a response to the user. So let's press start again. Let's tell it I love pizza. So you see, sorry, I don't have a response to that at the moment. Is there anything else I can help you with? When you click yes, or even type in yes, you see it tells me go ahead, then I can ask it whatever it is. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, so exit, let me delete all this. So then finally is the set AI step. This is a bit more complex. Okay, not complex really, but it's normally very, very powerful. And you'll notice when you start running and working with more powerful chatbots or building more powerful chatbots, you'll be using the set AI step very, very oftenly. Okay, so for this, it works with the AI model. You can give it a prompt, and what the set AI step does, so instead of giving back a response to the user, it will take the instructions that you've given it, use the AI to accomplish that instruction that you've given it, then it will save that result to a very specific variable over here. So sometimes you can need the set AI step to classify the user response into various buckets and save the specific bucket to a variable within your Voiceflow chatbot. Okay, so this set AI step is really critical in working with that. Okay, and you can see it's same case. You can have some prompt settings, temperature, max tokens, and a system prompt. So it's similar to the response AI step, but instead of displaying back the response to the user within the chat window, it saves whatever result it gets to a variable. Okay, so that's the simple way of looking at it. Okay, but yeah, that's it. So now going back here, you can see now in this tab we have variables. So this is another place where you can create the variables rather than having it in the creating them from the canvas. You can create whatever variable you want to use within your Voiceflow chatbot. You can create them over here. Okay, then entities. What entities is, let me just show you. Okay, so when I go back to the workflow over here, edit workflow, then I have a capture block that's capturing the user's response. And let's say this capture, I want it to get the user's email. So let me just tell them, enter your email. Okay, so after having that, sending that text message, I want to actually capture the email. So I'll send it over here to capture the response. So here in the capture block, I could capture the entire response and save it to a variable called email. Okay, but the problem with this is it will capture the entire response. So if the user gives back a statement like my email is mutiso@gmail.com, it will say that the email is that entire statement, my email is mutiso@gmail.com. But we don't want that. We just want to capture mutiso@gmail.com as the email. So that's where entities come in. And what it does is whatever the response the user has given, it will just extract the exact details that we need. Okay, so if you want the phone number and the user says my phone number is 0799 blah blah blah, it will just capture the entity, that specific phone number as the entity that we want. So that's how entities work. And to work with them, just click over here and say we don't want to capture the entire user reply but a specific section of it. So we'll create a new entity, and this entity, let's call it email. Okay, then the data type, there are several data types you can see a number, name, email. So in this case, you want to capture an email. Okay, so click that and create intent. Okay, so now we have created the entity, and what now we want to do is after capturing the email, we want to save it to a variable. So set variable. Okay, variable set, then we'll save it to a variable called, let's say, customer email. Okay, so we'll create a new variable called customer email. It has to be different from the name of the entity you've given. So I couldn't come and call that email that variable email because we already have the entity called that name. Okay, so then the value, we'd set it to the email entity we've created. So that's that. Okay, control enter to save that. Then we get out. Then if you go back here, we can now, if there's a no match, so we can create a no match step. So just in case they input an invalid email, the AI will be able to capture that and notice this is an invalid email. So no match, add a path. Okay, then go back here, and if in case of that, let's give a message, kindly enter your correct email. Then we can lead them back to the same capture block so that we verify they have entered the correct one this time. Okay, if we collect the email, we can now display the email. So your email is customer email. Okay, so with this being said, we can just run the block. Okay, so since we have created some entities also, let's train the agent to be able to capture the specific entity that we want to obtain. So same case, so entities and intents, if you use them within your workflow, you have to train your agent accordingly. So trained 100%, let me exit. So escape, press S to come to the start, then I start the step again. So enter your email. So let me say my email is that. So you see it captures that, and you see your email is mutiso@gmail.com. chatbots.com. And if you go to the complete left over here, you can see the email entity was being able to be captured, and it's saved to that variable customer email. Okay, let's try that again. So let me say something like, you see, such a long statement, but it will still be able to capture it accordingly. Okay, so let's reset this test, and this time let's input an invalid email. Okay, something like that. You see, it tells me kindly enter your correct email. Then if I enter it correctly, it will capture that and save it accordingly. So that's how you're able to work with entities. And you can do the same thing for phone number. If you just want to capture the phone number, you'll come here and you'll create a new entity, give it a name. So let's say in this case we want it to be a phone entity, and the data type is phone number. Then you can do the same process that we did for the email and save the variables accordingly. Okay, then going back here, let's see if there's something else we haven't touched on. Okay, so over here we have touched on everything. Down here you're able to see the AI tokens that you've consumed. So Voiceflow by default gives you 100,000 tokens through the free plan by default every month. So you can be able to see your consumption over here. In the transcript, you're able to see the various chats that have happened with the chatbot. So this is mainly when you publish the chatbot and you, let's say, deploy it somewhere. You can be able to view the chats that are happening with the chatbot. Okay, here in analytics, you're able to see the various analytics of the interactions that are happening with the chatbot. So for example, total number of engagements users have had with your agent, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is especially when you've deployed the chatbot. So, and to deploy the chatbot, you'll come here to integration, then web chat, then you'll copy the exact code over here. So you'll just click on this over here, copy it, and go and paste it at the bottom of your HTML file in the body tag. Okay, so that's how you deploy it, but ensure you see it's telling you, remember to publish a production version to run this agent. So to do that, you'll have to come back to content over here, workflow, go to the home workflow, then go ahead and click publish. Okay, then publish. You see, successfully published. And what I can do is now come back here, then I go to the integration, web chat, then I can copy this, go and paste it at the bottom of my body tag. But in this case, since I don't have a ready HTML file, you can deploy it. Let's just deploy it to this website over here. So to do that, this is a trick I can give you. Control-Shift-I to enter the inspect tab, go to the console, then you can paste in that specific code over here. So this is a trick when you're doing your tutorials, and let's say you've built a chatbot for a specific website, you can be able to take the code that you've gotten over here and paste it within the console window of that specific website, and the chatbot will be deployed to that specific website. So when I paste it here, enter. Oh, sorry, I've pasted the entirety of the script tag, but you need to come back here and just take in this over here. So copy that, come back here, then paste it again, enter. Then you can see it appears over there. Then when I click on it, I have my chatbot. Enter your email, then you see it's working accordingly. So that's how you're able to deploy the chatbot accordingly, and you can be able to customize the look and appearance of it. So when you scroll down here in web chat, you can click on that. Okay, give the chatbot a name. So name, that's the name of the chatbot, and you can see it get altered over here. Give it a description, okay, whatever it is you want to use, and you can see it change accordingly. You can change the chat persistence. So if you want it to never forget, if the user leaves the page and comes back, they'll be able to view the last conversation they had with the chatbot. So you set it as that. But if you want it to always forget when the page is reloaded or closed, you can set it as that. Then you can change the positioning of that chat bubble. So you see this chat bubble over here, you can be able to change its positioning through these settings over here. Then you can change the coloring. So I can paste in here my brand coloring, and you can see it automatically changes. Then then you can upload your brand icon or something. So let me upload mine. So you can see it there, and you can do the same thing for the agent avatar. So for this icon over here, So let me change that, so you can see it changes accordingly. Okay, so then you can go ahead, and when I go back and paste this code back to the website, so copy that, then I go back here. When I reload it, you notice it will disappear, because this is just a temporary way of deploying your chatbot, so you don't see it here. So let me Control-Shift-I, then paste it in there, enter. Okay, so you see it appears there. And also notice when you do this for the first time, where you're pasting in code in your script tag, it will tell you, warning, we can't really allow you to paste code within the console. Then it will give you instructions there to allow to type in the specific statement, allow copy pasting or something. You'll just read through those instructions and ensure you do that, and that will enable you to be able to paste in code within this console window. Okay, so let me close this, and when I click on that, you see the custom branding that I've added is now working. Then you can continue chatting with it. Okay, so yeah, that's it. And chat. Then going back here, here you can be able to get your Voiceflow API key. This will be especially useful when you're trying to access something called the dialogue API, where you want to access your chat window or your chatbot conversations without having to deploy the web chat like this. So especially for custom applications. Okay, then here in settings, you can change your agent name over here, and there's so many settings that you're able to alter, but the critical one I want to show you is this part for metadata. You'll be needing this project ID in various places where you're deploying, and also you can delete your chatbot over here. So yeah, that's it. So that's it from me. If you'd love to work with our team, you can go ahead and click the link in the description, visit our website and book in a meeting. And till next time, stay servy. Peace.